In today's conversation, I want to invite you to consider how everything in your life proceeds from your sense of identity. Many times we try to fix our problems by having certain conversations, making certain decisions and plans, trying to change our schedules in particular ways or rearrange the activities of our life. And all the meanwhile, we never pay attention to this quality of our identity. Who am I this day? And is it the same sense of identity that just yesterday was leading me in a direction that was creating problems and friction, resistance, and disharmonious ways of proceeding through life? If we ignore this awareness of our identity, we do so at the cost of failure. How many times has it been that you have set a goal for yourself, or set a new schedule or a new plan, or a new resolution like I'm going to wake up at this time, or I'm going to go to sleep at this time, or I'm going to take a minute every hour to take a break from the world and remember the truth of who I am? How many times have these kinds of inspirations come to your mind? You may have even written them out and put them on your calendar. And maybe you even have proceeded with the action correlated with that decision once or twice or 3 times, and then it fell away. And why did it fall away? Well, I want to propose to you that the reason it fell away is because your identity had no room for that particular change. In such cases, we would often resort to willpower and force, strict discipline, in an attempt to essentially bend our personality to our will, bend our schedule, bend our way of living, our attention, etc. And yet, there's a much more effortless way. The awareness of who must I become in order to live this life that is knocking at the door of my consciousness, this great vision, this next evolutionary expression of what I am, this unfolding into ever greater alignment with my true self. What are the qualities of identity? What kind of being am I? And if in all of our plans to make drastic life changes, to become something other than what we were in the past, if in all of this we ignore this foundational identity construct, this what is sometimes called self-image, then what we have left to do is to struggle and resist, to judge and condemn, and to proceed down the path of separation, allowing separation consciousness to be our guide, our leader in this so-called transformation. But what we want to do instead is we want a flow-based journey to the fulfillment of that ideal that we are now sensing and feeling, and we feel it stirring within our consciousness, that which wants to emerge as the next paradigm, the next version, so to speak, of the self that is in ever greater alignment to the truth of who we are, much more in harmony with the spiritual truth, the spiritual essence of our being, which is forever peace, love, joy, wholeness, abundance. So, how does that unfold? We must pay attention to this quality of identity, to the decision at the level of identity of who am I this day? And I know as spiritual aspirants, as those of us with spiritual awareness and knowledge, may look at this sense of identity and say, but wait, all identity is false. So why would I attempt to identify myself with a seemingly better self-image when all identity leads to suffering and leads away from truth? And as far as I can see, the reason here is that we must meet ourselves where we're at. When you make a decision such as I want to lose weight, or I want to meditate more, or I want to go out in the morning for a morning walk in nature, and then that never happens, take a look at the nature of that desire. The desire is progressively designed to unfold you into ever greater awareness of the truth of who you are. It is just as Neville has talked about in many of his lectures, that when you take on this visionary journey of receiving the calling through the mechanism of desire and accepting it as fulfilled, meaning receiving the great vision and embodying or becoming it as if it was God's call to you as your next level of unfolding, in that very process, you are being awakened. You are being purified and refined in such a way as that you begin to see all of the false identities and belief structures that are actually being fleshed out because they prevent you from embodying the vision. And so this gradual process of awakening is built right in to the mechanism of desire, the mechanism of pursuing goals, the mechanism of pursuing vision. So nothing is lost as far as it concerns your spiritual awakening and your self-realization and your self-actualization. And yet, if you also examine the very nature of these types of desires that you may have to better your life in one way or another, you will see that your desire appears to be something other than the desire for God realization. And I would have to say that we must honor that, because unless there is a real truth, an essential truth within you that calls to you to say, hey, drop everything and just surrender into the heart and mind of God, no other desire appears real to you anymore, well then wonderful. Then you pursue that. And then you embody the identity of one who is completely devout to this process of awakening, to this process of embodying your highest spiritual consciousness. But even then, looking at even this type of desire, we can see the falsity of it. Because in truth, the I am that you are is already the embodiment, the pure, perfect, complete, and infinite embodiment of peace, love, joy, abundance, and wholeness, of every good and divine quality that ever exists. So even the idea of the progressive journey is itself an idea that is based in the dream. And yet again, we must honor right here where we are. Every desire, every moment of this existence is rigged, and it's rigged to unfold you into unconditional peace, love, and joy. And when you begin to see that and sense that and trust that more and more so each day, then there is no contradiction. And so we come back to this mechanism of change, of transformation, of evolution at the level of identity. And we begin to take on the identity of one who has already fulfilled these goals, these callings, this vision to become perhaps more kind, more present, more embodied in this space of compassion, empathy, spiritual vision, right? And you can literally begin to feel your way into this sense of identity. You can call to yourself through autosuggestion, through inner affirmation, that I am someone who loves to wake up early. I love to feed my body things that are incredibly vitalizing and energizing. I love to expand my energetic capacity through nutrition, through breath, through movement, through meditation, whatever it really is for you. But you begin to write out the vision that centers not on you keeping your old persona and personality, but literally, as it says in the scriptures, you put off the old man. But in order to put off the old man, the old manifestation, you have to become aware of what it is that you're putting off, what it is that is no longer compatible with the next evolutionary momentum, this vision that is emerging as the next level of who you are. And when you recognize that wow, these particular concepts, these particular ways of being, these particular identities are no longer in harmony with the vision that I now, in this moment of clarity, truly know that this is what I am wanting, what I desire, then we begin to cultivate that flow-based journey. Because the moment that you identify as the one who is already in the state of fulfillment, and you begin to think from these premises, life very naturally, very authentically, very holistically and harmoniously begins to reflect these decisions back to you in the form of experience, in the form of conversations, in the form of information that is coming into your awareness. And so all that you need to do is to center in to this sense of identity of being one whose desires in these particular ways that they are apparent to you are fulfilled, are being lived through, in, and as the self. These particular qualities unique to you, this particular vision, which is really just an individualization of bliss, an individualization of love. This is one way that peace, love, bliss, joy can look. And it does look that way because this is what it is, what is being desired within you, what is being called forth within you. And in you, as these elements come into crystallization and manifest expression, it feels like bliss. It feels like joy. It feels like love and expansion. And so you embrace this. And the journey unfolds in such a way that it leads you from one to the next. And as you embody a certain level of vision, the next aspect of vision begins to reveal itself to you. And at no point are you trying to hold on to something, because you see that this is actually a journey of spiritual evolution. It is not simply the journey of an egoic sense of lack being fulfilled through external accumulation of things or manipulation of external events or people or circumstances, but instead you recognize that your journey, the journey that you are called on, this journey of spiritual awakening and evolution, is not separate and not at a distance from these natural living desires that are here within you, that the only issue that has been the problem or the obstacle in the past is that your identity has continued to be anchored in a sense of lack, in some form of the old man, the old manifestation, some form of the past, while intellectually you attempted to pursue a particular desire, meanwhile being anchored in a sense of identity that did not have room for that desire to be part of it. And so I want to invite you, if you want to bring this into practical expression in your life, to number one, become familiar with what it is that you truly want. Instead of trying to get rid of desire, fulfill desire in your consciousness. There is nothing that you have to do, not a single physical thing has to move before you move into the state of fully identifying as the one that you are called to be in that vision. The vision that is calling you through the mechanism of desire. And the way you do that is through relaxation, through invitation, through taking a deep breath, letting your belly relax, and finding your way home into the wonderful sense that this that I'm being called to, this is the universe conspiring into this particular expression, which is entirely on the way to my ultimate self-realization and self-actualization. So I hope this conversation has been helpful to you. I hope it takes away the resistance and friction that's created by overlooking the aspect of identity in pursuing the goals and desires and visions that are arising within your consciousness.